I was excited by this because I've been a fan of you and following some of your. I said, oh, this guy's got a book club too, a big reader. So that's awesome. I've joined the book club. I encourage people to join. Tell us though a little bit about your history with reading, and have you always been a big reader? And then also, why did you start this book club now?
Great questions. First and foremost, I don't think I was always a big reader, right? I think I started, what really turned the key for me was, like I said, when I made that turning point my sophomore year of college going into my junior season, someone had given me a book, which was Mind Gym at the time, because for some reason I just couldn't really figure out. I kind of had an attitude problem. I was really, not really pessimistic, but I was negative. Had a bad temper, always would lose my head at training. When I was little, I have, history of crying when I would lose and throwing these temper tantrums and, whatnot. But I really just thought it was time to get it right in my head and take control of what was going on between my ears. And someone had given me that book, Mind Gym, and reading it that summer leading into my junior year really just opened my eyes. And I was just like, I had learned literally so much from that book, which was outrageous, and I just was dying for more material kind of similar to that. And from there I read Relentless by Tim Grover, who's as some people might know, like you just said, The Last Dance, he's in it. He's Michael Jordan's personal trainer, and I learned a lot about that from that as well, just about work ethic and how bad you gotta want it, and whatever that might be, motivational, inspirational stuff that can really push you on. But I mean, from there, I had just really become obsessed with this idea that there was so much out there in these books from whatever categories it might be, like I got into business, and now I'm reading stuff like finance, and I just read a book about better communication and listening, and it really just goes on and on. But just now my obsession to just learn and personally grow is just really, it doesn't stop. I'm just really obsessed, like I said, with that idea of just always trying to learn. I continuously read. I'm listening to podcasts all the time, just trying to be sufficient, efficient, productive with my time, which then leads me into the next question about right now. I've had a lot of time on my hands, and I've always been writing stuff here and there, just jotting down my thoughts in Microsoft or whatever you might call it. But I decided, that maybe this would be a good time. I'm always, tweeting out things and just trying to constantly remind people about, the positivity and everything there is to be grateful in our lives for, and everything that, comes about that we can learn from. There's really just countless amounts of opportunities that come across every day. And I think that having learned so much from the books and seeing how just reading books has really affected my life, I thought, why not use my platform in a more unique way where I can just pass along this information that's really helped me and hopefully help a lot of other people, because it's really simple, right? Read 10 pages in the morning or whatever you can do a day, and you'll see how your life can change from reading what these people are talking about in these books. So I was like, I mean, I can use my platform now. Maybe some people will listen to me and, finally pick up a book and, learn what these top entrepreneurs or top businessmen of the world say has brought them success in their life. And that's not just about money. That's about happiness and, joy, and just cultivating and enjoying the process of every day, which I found tremendous value in. And it's really changed my paradigm and my perspective on just life as a whole, not even as just a footballer, but on and off the pitch. So, I started this book club, and I've gotten some great feedback from it so far. Leading into it, I'm actually going to change the format a little bit of it to try and create more of that community where people are being a little bit more engaging, which I don't think was necessarily happening in the first couple of emails. But all in all, the idea, I think, is right. And I think that people can value a lot from this sort of information. So yeah, that's why I started the book club. Hopefully more people will get in there and get the knowledge for themselves.
Yeah, well, I think it's just really awesome that you use the platform you have to just inspire people generally, but also with this book club going a little deeper. So it's really great. There's a lot of problems in the world right now. There's always a lot of problems, but it always seems like heightened tensions right now. But I think it's, everybody says, oh, we need to change the world, right? It's sort of this broader concept, but the world changes when we change ourselves too. So, and so I think what you kind of hit on there a little bit from earlier in your life and everything, just that idea of self-improvement, right? I mean, we could always, it doesn't matter who we are, what station in life we are in, whatever, we could always be improving ourselves, and we could always be learning new perspectives. And I mean, I love to travel. I think travel kind of opens the mind as well, but so do books. And I actually joke sometimes, not really joke, I mean, it's actually a serious comment. When someone writes a book, I mean, they put a lot of their time, their energy, it's probably years of their knowledge, years of their experience. And in just maybe a few hours, maybe 10 hours, whatever it is, you could like steal all that knowledge, like
Yeah,
all that time, all that experience. You just
for
steal
sure.
it, you know,
For
real
sure.
fast.
That's what I'm saying. That's the true value that's really out here in books that people are trying to share with us. You know, people who have done ridiculous things, and you can take what they've learned, even their mistakes, right, to save you future pain and from your own mistakes. You know, like that you might make. Try and save yourself a little bit. If you learn maybe a little bit from a finance book, or I just read Principles by Ray Dalio, which is like, this guy has so much knowledge, like, and he's put it all into this book for people who are, I mean, I think the thing with the book club as well is that it's just bringing people awareness that this knowledge even exists, right, that these books are even out there, because a lot of times people really aren't aware of that, right. It's so easy to be consumed nowadays in the technology, and especially right now with the news and, you know, all the negativity that's just around, it's just bringing people down, I feel like. And it's a time for opportunity and to prosper and to learn about ourselves, right. A lot of what I've learned from the books has brought me a lot of self-awareness as well, like, and like you bringing it in full circle, wrapping around to your point of, in order to change the world, we have to change ourselves. And a lot of times we aren't aware of those little tendencies and things that we do, you know, constantly, that might be detrimental or causing us a little bit of pain, and, you know, holding us back, maybe even some limitations, some associations maybe that we have, or whatever it is. But reading has just brought me a whole lot of self-awareness in some things that I do, and allowed me to change them and better myself. I mean, at least what I think I'm bettering myself, right? I don't want to sound like arrogant or anything. Like I got it all together, because I don't. I got problems too, but it's just really eye-opening, and I think it can improve the quality of a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, that's great. You know, I've noted in recent years, and we have this 24/7 news cycle. We have this social media cycle. It's just nonstop. You mentioned like negativity and things like that, and sometimes just to say, you know, let's just step back a second. And to me, I love to kind of turn it off, read a book, listen to a podcast, like you mentioned. Of course, you're going to be listening to the Agents of Innovation podcast now, right? So,
Mhm.
but so anyway, that's just really really great. You know, it's funny, and I like sometimes it's kind of cool when different books, like little things come together. You know, recently you mentioned some of the books you read earlier this year, and I don't know if you've read this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
All right.
And I actually had been meaning to read it, and it just timed with like the very first couple of weeks of the pandemic that I read this, and I was taking some morning walks, and I was actually listening to it on Audible and jotting little notes on my notepad. But actually, then right after that, I actually read a book by David McCullough about the Wright brothers. And you want to talk
Mhm.
about two guys who literally lived atomic habits. I mean, we all know about their invention with the plane and everything, but I didn't know the process. And these guys, just for like 4 or 5 years, just they weren't out there in front of the media or whatever. They were just doing their experiments, just so focused on what they were doing. And it was just amazing to
Just trying to
read
get,
those
like
stories.
James Clear says, 1% better every day, right? Just trying to learn something new,
Yeah.
experimenting, and, you know, staying consistent in their habits and trying to win the day. And after 4 to 5 years, you can see what kind of, you know, amazing rewards you can reap from just doing a little bit every day. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is.